The unexpected defense. The galaxy was watching Earth, but no one expected much. The Galactic Council, made up of the most powerful and advanced species, had only heard rumors about the strange planet in the corner of the galaxy. Earth was considered primitive, a world of unremarkable humans, and a tiny, weak planet that had no real place in galactic politics. No one thought Earth could defend itself against the greatest forces in the galaxy. Then, the Crexans arrived. The Crexans were a feared race, known for their massive war fleets and terrifying weapons. They had conquered world after world, leaving destruction in their wake. The Galactic Council had even hired them to take control of other planets. Earth, however, was a world they had not yet touched, and it was about to become their next target. The Crexan fleet entered Earth's solar system with ease. There was no sign of resistance. The Earth's military was not strong enough to stop them. No one believed Earth could even put up a fight. The Council's eyes were on Earth, eager to watch the humans fall before the mighty Crexans. They waited, confident that Earth would be destroyed. But Earth had a secret no one, not even the Crexans, had expected. As the Crexan ships descended toward Earth, their weapons were already prepared. The alien ships opened fire, unleashing torrents of energy that should have vaporized the planet. The Council watched in anticipation, ready to declare the humans' final defeat. But something happened that no one could explain. The attacks hit Earth's atmosphere, but instead of breaking through, they stopped. The weapons failed. The energy blasts, so powerful that they had shattered entire planets in the past, did nothing against Earth. The Crexan ships paused, confused. The humans had no shields. They had no advanced technology. Yet, Earth was standing strong. In the control room of the Crexan fleet, Supreme Commander Vorsk paced back and forth. He was furious. What's happening? Our weapons should have destroyed them by now. He roared, his claws digging into the metal desk. His officers looked at each other, equally confused. They had never encountered anything like this before. "We're getting no damage readings, sir," one of the officers said. "The energy is deflecting our blasts. We can't break through." Vorsk's eyes narrowed in disbelief. How is this possible? He couldn't understand. The Crexans had never failed like this before. "Are you telling me a primitive species like humans have found a way to stop our weapons?" "We're not sure, sir, but we believe it's some kind of energy field around the planet." A shiver ran down Vorsk's spine. He had heard stories of ancient powers, but he had never believed them. No one did. But now, standing before him, was a living example of that power. Earth was not just protected, it was untouchable. Meanwhile, across the galaxy, the Galactic Council had received the news. The representatives from various species gathered in their chambers, staring at their screens in disbelief. "The Crexans have failed." The words hung in the air like a heavy fog. No one could comprehend it. Earth had somehow survived an attack by the greatest force in the galaxy. How is this possible? High Speaker Talvar of the Varanus people asked, his voice filled with suspicion. He was the most powerful member of the Galactic Council, and if anyone knew how to deal with threats, it was him. "Are the humans using advanced technology?" The Krellin ambassador inquired. "Do they have weapons we don't know about?" "No," Talvar replied, shaking his head. "We've studied Earth. They do not have the technology to defend themselves. Something else is happening here. Something we don't understand." The Council was at a loss. How could this world, this insignificant planet, stand up to the Crexans? What force was behind the protection of Earth? The questions were endless, and the fear in the room grew. Back on Earth, the people had no idea what was happening above them. The governments, the military leaders, the civilians, they were all focused on their daily lives, unaware of the galactic war that was about to be thrust upon them. But there were some who felt it, some who knew that something had changed. Maria Wells, Earth's ambassador to the Galactic Council, sat in her office, watching the reports come in. She had just received the news. The Crexan fleet had failed. Earth had survived. But what did that mean? Why had Earth's energy shield, whatever it was, stopped the Crexan attack? As Maria sat, lost in thought, a sudden realization struck her. The energy protecting Earth wasn't just a shield. It wasn't a defense. It was a force. A living, breathing power. Something older than any civilization in the galaxy. Maria had no answers, but she knew one thing. Earth was not just a planet to be conquered. Earth was a force to be reckoned with. The Crexans had failed, and they would be back. But now, Earth had a choice. Earth could stand strong, or it could be forced into the shadows. The Galactic Council, the Crexans, and every other species in the galaxy were watching. The world held its breath as a new chapter in Earth's history was about to begin. The question was, would Earth be ready? The Council's panic. The unexpected defense of Earth sent shockwaves throughout the galaxy. The Crexans, who had attacked with such confidence, were now retreating, confused and humiliated. The Galactic Council, whose members had watched Earth from afar with little interest, could not believe what they had witnessed. How could a planet of primitive humans resist the might of the Crexans? How could Earth stand strong in the face of destruction? In the grand chamber of the Galactic Council, leaders from every corner of the galaxy gathered. Talvar, the High Speaker of the Varanus, was the first to speak. His voice echoed through the chamber, full of disbelief and concern. This cannot be. The Crexans are not weak. They are the fiercest warriors in the galaxy, and yet Earth has repelled them. Other members of the council shifted nervously in their seats. Among them, the Tolerans, who controlled vast stretches of space, exchanged worried glances. The Zenari, known for their strategic mind, kept silent, but their eyes flickered with uncertainty. "We cannot ignore this," Talvar continued, his tone growing more serious. "If Earth can stand against the Crexans, what does that mean for the rest of us? We must learn what Earth has, and we must know if they can be a threat to the galaxy." One of the council members, a representative from the Lencora species, spoke up. "What if this is a fluke? The Crexans may have miscalculated their attack." The Varanus High Speaker shook his head. "Impossible. Our intelligence shows Earth has no technology capable of stopping the Crexan assault. There's something else at play here, something we don't understand." On Earth, Maria Wells, the human ambassador to the Galactic Council, had seen the news. The Council was panicking, and she knew that they were now watching Earth closely. It was no longer just a peaceful planet. It had become a mystery, and mysteries are often feared. Maria sat in her office, surrounded by reports of the strange energy field that had saved Earth. It was not just a shield. It was a powerful force that had blocked the Crexans' attacks without any visible source. How had humanity, with no advanced technology, found a way to defend itself? And what was this strange energy? She pressed her fingers against her temples, feeling the weight of the responsibility that now rested on her shoulders. She had been chosen to represent Earth before the Galactic Council, but now she was faced with a question no one had anticipated. Was Earth ready to face the consequences of this new power? Was humanity prepared for the attention that would come next? Across the galaxy, the Crexans were still reeling from their failure. Supreme Commander Vorsk stood before his war council, furiously pacing. His mind raced with thoughts of revenge. The Crexans were not known to back down, and they were never defeated easily. He couldn't accept that Earth had won, not with their primitive technology, not with their lack of a real military. How could we fail? Vorsk muttered to himself. He had ordered the assault with absolute certainty. The Crexans were always victorious. But now, a tiny, insignificant planet had sent them running. "Commander," one of his officers spoke cautiously, "the reports are clear. Earth has some form of defense, some energy field that repels our attacks. We cannot penetrate it." Vorsk's eyes darkened. "So, it's not just a fluke. Earth has power. We don't know where it comes from, sir, but it's unlike anything we've seen. The energy is beyond our understanding. Then we must destroy it, Vorsk growled. Prepare for a second assault. This time, we will take down that energy. We will break through it, and we will show the galaxy that the Crexans are not to be challenged. Back in the Galactic Council chamber, panic continued to grow. Talvar, who had initially been skeptical of the humans' abilities, now saw the situation in a new light. He had never underestimated the power of a species, but what he had witnessed was something far more than just a defense. Earth had potential, real power. Are we prepared to deal with this? Talvar asked, turning toward the council. What happens if Earth decides to use this power against us? What if they decide they want to join the galactic stage as more than just a bystander? The Krellin ambassador, a species known for their cunning, shifted uneasily. We can't allow Earth to grow too strong. If they possess this kind of power, they could threaten the stability of the entire galaxy. We must control them. We must ensure they do not use their strength against us. I agree, Talvar replied. We cannot afford to have Earth become an uncontrollable force, but we must act carefully. If we push them too far, we risk provoking them into full conflict. The room fell silent. Everyone knew that the galaxy had just witnessed something unprecedented. No one was sure how to respond. The Talurans spoke next. We should send an emissary to Earth, the peace mission. We need to understand what's happening there, but we must be cautious. If this energy is real, we don't know what kind of threat it could become. On Earth, the tension was beginning to build. Maria Wells had just received word that the Galactic Council was sending an emissary to Earth. She knew this would be a crucial moment. The fate of humanity and the future of Earth's relationship with the galaxy now rested on how they responded to the Council's demands. I never imagined things would escalate this quickly, Maria said to her team. We've just defended ourselves, but now the Council is watching us closely. They won't forget this. She glanced out the window of her office. The city outside seemed peaceful, unaware of the political storm that was brewing in space. But Maria knew the truth. Earth was no longer just a planet to be ignored. It was a planet that had caught the attention of the most powerful beings in the galaxy. And now, Earth's next move would define its place in the galaxy forever. Earth's hidden strength. The Galactic Council was not the only one puzzled by Earth's sudden and unexpected defense. On Earth, a select few had long suspected that their planet might possess more than just the usual human strengths, more than the physical resilience or intelligence that had helped them survive so far. However, no one could have predicted what had happened when the Crexans attacked. Maria Wells sat in her office, sifting through the latest reports on the energy field that had protected Earth. The news was still spreading across the planet, while most humans remained unaware of the true extent of the galactic events unfolding. A handful of scientists, military officers, and diplomats were beginning to see the pattern. What the Council and the Crexans didn't know was that Earth had a hidden power, a force older than their modern technologies. A force that no one, not even Earth's greatest minds, had fully understood, until now. Deep beneath the surface of Earth, hidden away for centuries, a discovery was being made. A team of human scientists working on a classified project had stumbled upon something incredible. Dr. Alan Hayes, a geophysicist, was one of the first to feel the change in the air. His team had been investigating unusual seismic activity near the Earth's core for weeks when they finally cracked the mystery. What is this? Dr. Hayes muttered as he examined the data on his screen. The readings were unlike anything they had ever seen. There was an energy signature emanating from deep beneath the Earth's surface. It was old, ancient even. The energy seemed to pulse with life, and it was far stronger than anything humanity had ever been able to harness. It wasn't nuclear energy, nor was it any form of energy the scientists were familiar with. It was something else. Something alien in its own right. This can't be real, Dr. Hayes whispered, almost in disbelief. Could it be? His thoughts were interrupted by his assistant, who rushed into the room. Dr. Hayes, you need to see this. The energy is reacting. It's moving. Hayes' eyes widened. The ancient force beneath Earth wasn't just a passive source of power, it was active. And now, it seemed to be waking up. The energy source had been dormant for millennia. Long before humans built their cities or even dreamed of space travel, this force had been hidden deep beneath the Earth. Its purpose was unclear, but the sudden awakening of this power raised more questions than answers. Maria Wells received word of the discovery soon after. She had known something was different about Earth's defense against the Crexans, but now it was clear that the planet had a secret power, one that had been dormant for a long time and was now waking up in response to the attack. Is this what stopped the Crexans? Maria asked the team of military advisors she was meeting with. Possibly, replied General Mark Daniels, Earth's top military strategist. This energy field appears to be directly linked to Earth's survival instinct. It protected us once, and it may do so again. The question is, how much control do we have over it? The team was silent for a moment, trying to process the implications. If Earth could harness this energy, the power would be unmatched. But if they couldn't control it, they could be facing something even more dangerous than the Crexans. We need to understand it, Maria said, her voice steady despite the overwhelming pressure she felt. We need to find out where this energy came from, how it works, and what it can do. Only then can we decide if we should use it. Meanwhile, the Crexans had not been idle. Supreme Commander Vorsk had quickly regrouped after their humiliating retreat, and he was already planning their next move. They had underestimated Earth, and now they had to correct that mistake. His engineers and scientists were working tirelessly to find a way to break through the energy shield that had stopped their weapons. They knew that if they didn't succeed, they would lose their hold on the galaxy. We cannot allow Earth to have this power, Vorsk declared, pacing in front of his council of generals. We must find out how to breach their defenses, and we must do it quickly. If Earth is hiding this kind of power, it must be destroyed before it becomes a threat to us all. His officers nodded grimly, knowing the Crexans couldn't afford another failure. They would do whatever it took to neutralize Earth's mysterious power, but they were also aware of the risks. The energy surrounding Earth wasn't something they had ever encountered before. If they pushed too hard, they might trigger something even worse. We will find a way to defeat Earth's energy, Vorsk said, his voice cold and determined. And when we do, we will destroy everything they've built. Back on Earth, as scientists and military leaders scrambled to understand the newly discovered energy, Maria Wells convened with the highest-ranking officials to discuss the next steps. We're facing a situation we never imagined, Maria said to the gathered leaders. We've just discovered an energy source older than our technology, one that might be the key to protecting our planet. But there are risks. If we use it carelessly, we could provoke the very forces we are trying to defend against. The room was filled with tense silence. The stakes had never been higher. Earth had just defended itself against the Crexans, but now, humanity was faced with a much greater question. What would they do with the power they had uncovered? General Daniels spoke up. We can't ignore this power. It's the key to our survival. But we have to be cautious. If this energy is as powerful as it seems, we must learn how to control it. We don't want to risk losing ourselves to it. Maria nodded. We need time. Time to understand this power before we make our move. But time was running out. The Crexans were preparing for another attack, and Earth's energy was the only thing standing between them and total destruction. The fate of humanity was now tied to the mystery beneath their feet. The first counterattack. The tension in the air was palpable. Earth had successfully defended itself once, but the Crexans were not ones to back down. Supreme Commander Vorsk had vowed that this time, they would break through Earth's mysterious energy field, no matter what it took. The stakes had never been higher. The Crexans had already begun preparations for their next attack, but this time, they were determined to succeed. Back on Earth, Maria Wells was dealing with the growing pressure from both the Galactic Council and her own people. The discovery of the ancient energy was one thing, Learning how to control it was another. The military had begun its own research into the energy field, but the truth was clear. No one really understood what was happening beneath the planet's surface. They were in uncharted territory. "We need to be prepared for whatever comes next," General Mark Daniels said as he addressed Maria in her office. "The Crexans will not be easy to defeat again. And if they are coming back with new weapons, we need a strategy. A real one." Maria nodded, her thoughts racing. The energy field had protected Earth before, but could it do so again? Was it powerful enough to withstand another full-scale attack from the Crexans? She couldn't rely on hope alone. Earth needed more than just an unknown power. It needed a plan. "I'll start a meeting with the global leaders," Maria said, her voice calm despite the uncertainty swirling in her mind. "We need to coordinate a response, not just from the military, but from every level of society. This is bigger than just our borders." Across the galaxy, the Crexans were putting their new plan into motion. Supreme Commander Vorsk had called in his best engineers and scientists to help him figure out how to break through Earth's mysterious energy. After all, their first strike had failed, but it had also shown them that Earth wasn't as weak as they had thought. This time, they would come prepared. Vorsk stood in his war room, his fists clenched as he watched his officers scramble to prepare for the counterattack. "Our scouts have detected the source of Earth's energy," one of his officers reported, his voice tense. "It's emanating from the planet's core, but it's unlike any known energy source we've encountered. We can't simply destroy it with conventional weapons." Vorsk's eyes narrowed, a look of frustration crossing his face. "Then we must find a way to manipulate it. We need to weaken Earth's defenses, find their weakness, and exploit it." His chief scientists spoke up, revealing their new weapon. "We've developed a new kind of energy disruptor. If we can get close enough to Earth's core, we may be able to interrupt the flow of the energy field. It will be dangerous, but if it works, Earth's defense will crumble." Vorsk nodded slowly. "Prepare the fleet. We will strike faster and harder this time. We cannot afford another failure. Earth will fall, whether it's by brute force or by breaking their defense from the inside." On Earth, preparations were underway, but the mood was one of uncertainty. No one knew how the ancient energy worked, or how they could possibly control it against a determined enemy. There were whispers in the halls of power about the potential dangers of awakening this unknown force. Some feared that it could turn on humanity, or worse, that they wouldn't be able to control the energy once they tapped into it. Dr. Alan Hayes, the lead scientist working on the energy field project, had become obsessed with understanding the mysterious force. He had spent sleepless nights studying the energy readings, trying to find a pattern, some clue to how the energy could be harnessed without causing catastrophic damage. The more he looked, the more convinced he became that this energy wasn't just a defense mechanism. It was a part of the planet itself, tied to Earth's very life force. "We need to tread carefully," Dr. Hayes warned his team during one of their late-night sessions. "This power, it's ancient, and it's unpredictable. If we push it too far, we might awaken something even darker. It's not just about defending the planet. It's about surviving what we've uncovered." But no one could ignore the reality. Earth was vulnerable. The Crexans would be back, and time was running out. As the Crexan fleet drew closer to Earth, their new weapon at the ready, the Galactic Council watched in anxious anticipation. The members of the Council, who had been divided on how to handle Earth's unexpected resistance, now had to make a decision. Should they step in and offer assistance, or should they leave Earth to face the Crexans on its own? Talvar, the High Speaker of the Varanus, stood before the Council, his voice carrying the weight of their collective uncertainty. "The Crexans are preparing for a second assault," he said, his tone grave. "We must decide if we intervene or remain neutral. If Earth is to survive, it will need more than just its unknown energy. It will need help. But how much help can we offer before we risk provoking a war?" The Krellin ambassador spoke next, his voice filled with cautious concern. "We've already seen what happens when we underestimate Earth. But we also know that humanity is a wild card. If they can defeat the Crexans without our intervention, it could change the balance of power in the galaxy. Do we want that? Talvar hesitated. Earth may not be ready to face this alone. But can we afford to take sides in this conflict? The Crexans are dangerous, yes, but if Earth becomes a threat to the galaxy, we may regret getting involved. Back on Earth, the Crexan fleet entered the atmosphere. Their new weapon was ready, and the first wave of attacks began. The sky above Earth seemed to crackle with energy, as if the planet itself was bracing for the impact. Maria Wells stood at the window of her office, staring out at the distant stars. She could see the Crexan ships in the sky, massive and intimidating. She knew they had come with one purpose: to destroy Earth's defense and to break humanity's newfound power. But Earth wasn't going down without a fight. "We'll use the energy field," General Daniels said, looking over the reports of the Crexan movements. "It's our best shot. If it worked once, it can work again." Maria nodded, her resolve hardening. "We're ready. Let them come. This time, Earth will strike back." Maria felt a glimmer of hope. Earth was winning, not because of technology, but because the planet itself was fighting back. The energy was alive, and it wasn't going to let Earth fall without a fight. However, the Crexans were not the type to give up easily. Supreme Commander Vorsk, who had watched the first wave fail, was now ready to take the fight to a new level. He knew they couldn't rely on brute force alone. They needed to break Earth's resolve, and they needed to do it quickly. Vorsk's next plan was bold. He ordered his fleet to launch an all-out assault, targeting Earth's major cities. If they couldn't destroy the energy directly, they would try to break humanity's spirit by attacking their heart. On Earth, Maria received the news. The Crexans had targeted major cities, and their ships were moving toward the capital. The stakes had just been raised higher. "They're coming for us," General Daniels said grimly. "If we don't stop them now, we risk everything." Maria stood firm, her voice unwavering. "We don't fight just for survival. We fight for the future of our planet. This is Earth's moment. Let's show them what we're made of." As the Crexans launched their final assault, Earth's energy field reacted again. This time, it wasn't just a shield. It was a weapon. The ground trembled, and the skies lit up as the energy field expanded outward, striking the Crexans' ships with a force they had never encountered before. Their fleets were scattered, their weapons useless against the planet's new power. The Crexans, once so confident in their superiority, were now fleeing from the very planet they had once sought to conquer. The final stand. The Crexans were reeling from the sudden surge of power Earth had unleashed. Their ships, once formidable and threatening, now appeared small and vulnerable as they scattered across the skies. Earth's energy field, no longer just a shield, had become a weapon, and the galaxy's most fearsome invaders were forced to retreat. But it wasn't over yet. Supreme Commander Vorsk, though humiliated, was not one to give up easily. Earth had shown an unexpected strength, but he still had one last plan. One final, devastating move that could end the conflict once and for all. Back on Earth, Maria Wells stood in the command center, eyes fixed on the screens that displayed the Crexan fleet's retreat. But her relief was short-lived. She knew Vorsk wouldn't leave without trying everything. The Crexans had attacked with everything they had, but Earth had fought back with something more. The question now was, could they keep it up? General Daniels entered the room, his face lined with worry. "We've received intelligence. The Crexans are preparing their final assault. They've developed a weapon that could penetrate even the strongest energy field. We're not sure how it works, but it's unlike anything we faced." Maria's mind raced as she tried to process the news. They had no time to waste. Earth's defenses were strong, but the Crexans weren't finished. They had fought for survival before, but this time, Earth would need to strike back with everything it had. Far above Earth, Vorsk stared at his fleet with cold, calculating eyes. He had failed in his previous attempts to crush the planet, but he was determined to see it through. His engineers had designed a weapon powerful enough to pierce through Earth's energy field, and he was willing to sacrifice everything to make it work. "Launch the weapon," Vorsk ordered, his voice harsh. "This time, we end it." The Krexan fleet had deployed a massive energy-based cannon, a weapon designed to breach the core of Earth's mysterious defense. With a single shot, they hoped to weaken the energy field enough to send in their ground forces. This would be their last chance. As the cannon charged, the air around Earth began to crackle. The force of the weapon was immense, and it seemed as though the planet itself could feel the incoming threat. On Earth, Dr. Alan Hayes and his team were working feverishly, analyzing the approaching Krexan weapon. The energy field was strong, but they had never encountered a force like this. Every test they ran indicated that this weapon could destabilize the energy field, possibly even destroy it. "We need to act quickly," Dr. Hayes said, his voice filled with urgency. "If that weapon hits, it could disrupt the energy flow. If that happens, Earth could be wide open to a full-scale invasion." Maria stood up, her mind made up. "We need to use the energy. All of it. Every last bit we can muster." She turned to General Daniels. "Prepare the countermeasures. We need to take the Krexans down once and for all." As the Krexan cannon powered up, the tension on Earth was unbearable. The fate of the planet hung in the balance. Earth's energy field began to surge in response, drawing power from deep within the planet's core. But even Maria wasn't sure if it would be enough. "We're ready," General Daniels said, his voice steady but filled with anticipation. "We've got one shot at this." Maria nodded. "Let's make it count." In the control room, Dr. Hayes initiated the sequence to unleash Earth's full power. The ground rumbled as the energy from the core surged through every channel, strengthening the field in a way that no one had thought possible. But they had no idea how it would react to the Krexan weapon. Above, the Krexan fleet had finally fired the devastating cannon. A massive beam of energy shot toward Earth, faster than anyone could react. As it collided with the planet's energy field, the force was immense. The energy shield rippled, buckled, and seemed to flicker under the weight of the assault. For a moment, it seemed as if Earth's defense would shatter. But then, something incredible happened. The energy field didn't collapse. Instead, it absorbed the incoming force, growing stronger in response to the Krexan cannon's power. It wasn't just a shield anymore. It was a force of nature, alive and vibrant. The energy surged outward, creating a shockwave that sent the Krexan fleet spiraling into disarray. Their ships were tossed aside, and their weapon systems were disabled. The cannon, designed to pierce Earth's defenses, had only fueled the planet's power. "We've done it," Dr. Hayes whispered, his eyes wide with disbelief. "It's more than just a defense. It's a living force, an ancient power tied to the very essence of Earth." But even as the Krexan fleet faltered, Supreme Commander Vorsk refused to give up. He had lost his ships, his weapon, and nearly his entire fleet. But he still had one last card to play, a final desperate maneuver that could destroy Earth's energy core. He gave the order to deploy his remaining forces, this time aiming directly for the heart of Earth itself. Their mission: to plant a device that could destabilize the core and end the conflict once and for all. Back on Earth, the news was grim. The Krexans had deployed ground forces. They were on their way to the planet's surface, and if they reached the core, Earth's energy would be vulnerable. Maria and her team had one final chance to stop them. "We have to stop them before they reach the core," Maria said, her voice fierce. "Prepare for the final battle." General Daniels nodded. "We've got everything we need. Let's finish this." As Earth's energy field swelled to an unprecedented size, the final showdown began. Earth's forces prepared to intercept the Krexan ground troops, while the planet's power surged toward its last line of defense. The fate of Earth and the galaxy was about to be decided. Earth's triumph, the end of the Krexan threat. The final battle had arrived, and Earth stood on the brink of destruction. The Crexans had unleashed their ground forces, and they were moving swiftly toward the planet's core, where they believed the source of Earth's newfound power lay. If they succeeded, Earth's defense would collapse, and humanity would be at the mercy of the Crexans. But Maria Wells wasn't ready to give up. Not now. Not when they had come so far. The energy field, which had once been a mystery, had become humanity's greatest weapon. Now, it was time for Earth to show the galaxy what it was truly capable of. In the command center, General Daniels stood at the front, issuing orders to the military forces that had been mobilized for the final assault. "We cannot let them reach the core," he said, his voice resolute. "If the Crexans breach that line, everything we've fought for will be lost." Maria nodded, her eyes scanning the monitors. The Crexans were advancing quickly. Their soldiers, heavily armed and equipped with technology far more advanced than anything Earth had, were closing in on the core. But they hadn't accounted for Earth's energy. This time, it wasn't just a shield, it was a force of nature, responding to the needs of the planet. As Earth's military forces launched their counterattack, the energy field began to pulse with renewed intensity. It had already proven itself on the battlefield, but now it was time for the final test. The planet's energy surged outward, pushing back the Crexans and forcing them to retreat. "We've got them on the run," shouted General Daniels. "But we need to stop them before they get too close to the core. All units, move out." Maria watched as the battle raged across the surface of Earth. The energy field seemed to be fighting alongside humanity, pushing the Crexans back at every turn. But there was one thing that Maria couldn't shake: the fear that the Crexans still had a weapon they hadn't used yet, a weapon that could destroy Earth's energy core. She turned to Dr. Alan Hayes, who had been monitoring the energy field's fluctuations. "What's the status?" she asked. "It's holding strong," Hayes said, his voice filled with awe. "But the Crexans' forces are getting closer to the core. We need to act fast. If they plant that destabilizing device, we might not have time to react." In the heart of the Crexan army, Supreme Commander Vorsk was growing desperate. He had lost his fleet, his weapon, and much of his remaining forces, but he was determined to see the mission through. He knew that if they could just plant the device at the core, they would destroy Earth's power once and for all. He watched as his remaining troops fought their way forward, cutting through Earth's defenses. It was only a matter of time before they reached their target. He had to believe that the Crexans could still win. He couldn't afford to fail. But just as the Crexans were about to reach their target, something extraordinary happened. The energy field began to react to their presence, as if it knew what they were trying to do. It surged, more powerful than ever before, and in a flash, it overwhelmed the Crexans. The energy field wasn't just defending, it was attacking, pushing back with incredible force. Vorsk watched in horror as his troops were scattered, their advances halted in an instant. The energy field was too powerful, too alive. Earth had once again turned the tide of battle in its favor. Back in the command center, Maria felt a surge of hope. Earth was fighting back, not just with technology, but with the very life force of the planet itself. The Crexans had underestimated Earth once again, and now they were paying the price. "Keep pushing," Maria urged. "We can't let them regroup. Push forward, and keep them from getting any closer to the core." General Daniels nodded. "All units, fall back to a defensive position. Protect the core at all costs." As the battle reached its climax, the Crexans made one final desperate push toward the core. They were close, too close. But just as they prepared to plant the device that would destabilize Earth's energy, a brilliant flash of light erupted from the planet's core. The energy field exploded outward in a shockwave that sent the Crexan forces flying. The device they had intended to use was disintegrated in the blast. Earth's energy, stronger than ever, had triumphed. Supreme Commander Vorsk, who had watched in disbelief as his final plan was obliterated, gave one last command. "Retreat. We're beaten. Get the fleet out of here." The Crexan forces, once so confident in their superiority, were now fleeing Earth, their fleet scattered and broken. Earth had won, not through sheer firepower, but through the strength of the planet itself. The energy that had protected them, fought for them, and ultimately destroyed their enemies was Earth's greatest victory. Back on Earth, the aftermath of the battle was being assessed. The Crexans had been defeated, and their threat had been eliminated. Maria Wells stood at the command center, her heart still pounding from the intensity of the fight. "We did it," General Daniels said, his voice filled with relief. "We've saved Earth." Maria nodded. "Yes, but this is just the beginning. The galaxy will know what Earth is capable of now. We've shown that we can fight, and we can win." As Earth's leaders and military commanders gathered to celebrate the victory, Maria couldn't help but feel a sense of awe. The battle was over, but the true power of Earth had only just begun to reveal itself. The Crexans had learned a hard lesson that day. Earth was not to be underestimated.